What is up, everybody? I am Ant, and I am joined by my co-host and good friend. Introduce yourself, my friend.
What's going on, Ian? It's always a pleasure. I'm pumped up, stoked up for some WWF Attitude Era, WWE Now. Let's get into this. It's all about Raw is War, baby.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Tyler, for joining us again for our Attitude Years recap. I think we're on episode 22 now. You can check out our earlier episodes in the archives, which are on YouTube and also wherever you get your podcast streaming. It could be Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, anywhere they are streaming. But today's episode, we are covering WWF Raw is War, April 20th, 1998. It's always weird saying WWF. I grew up with it being WWF, and then
Me
obviously,
too.
2002. I guess I shouldn't say I grew up with it. Because I started watching wrestling in 2000, but like for me, I remember it being WWF, and then obviously I grew up with it in WWE. But yeah, so it's always exciting to hear WWF again. Although I did see a video today, a commercial of elephants getting killed. They're like illegally. This is not an ad for anything. We're not getting not getting
No,
for this, but I want to say something. Stop killing the elephants and illegally selling their tusks for money because they're becoming endangered. There's a big promo about it from the World Wildlife Foundation, WWF. And I actually thought about World Wrestling Federation. I was like, well, I see why they obviously, got rid of that. But don't kill the elephants. Save them. They're good.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. And yeah, we're not promoting that. That's the whole reason why they had to become WWE, excuse me, is they were the WWF. That's what I grew up remembering about the World Wrestling Federation at the time. The leader then and now, and not just sports entertainment anymore, professional wrestling. We can say it again.
Oh, yes, that's awesome too that we're able to say that. I'd said that to my brother too. Like those little sort of little things I think are a dying breed that need to come back. I mean, back here in the Attitude Era, I did catch they would always say superstars, but like you wouldn't get in trouble if you said wrestling. And I do feel like Michael Cole is probably like, thank God, Michael Cole can breathe again.
Yeah, he's probably like, man, I don't have somebody in my ear. It's got to make the broadcasters feel more confident and more creative in a sense.
Yeah, I think they're having a lot more fun with it, and I think us as fans can see that. But we also can see that Raw is War is taking place in Long Island, New York, and a lot happened last week. We saw Dude Love come out and turn on Stone Cold Steve Austin, get involved in the Stone Cold versus Vince McMahon main event. We saw Kane challenge the Undertaker to show up to his parents' gravestones, and that's where we open up with Raw. Kevin Kelly is there, and he tells everybody that he's at the cemetery. He's waiting for the Undertaker, and we're just sort of getting ready to see what's going to happen with this. There's really not too much go off on that. Just Kevin Kelly out there, and then we actually go to the arena, and Dude Love comes out on the stage, and I think it's the Love Shack, right? Is that what he calls
Yeah,
it?
it's a lot. I mean, it's a great segment.
And I do have to say happy 420 to all those people out there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am. Especially for
yeah,
Dude Love.
420. I'm all about it. Yeah,
Yes,
I'm all
sir.
for it.
All right, Tyler. Yes, you're a hippie like us and Dude Love. I love it, man.
Yeah, I've
Um,
got some hippiness. I mean, I go back to the old, even the '70s rock music, and the Bee Gees, kind of what they were playing off for his theme music. I loved it. I thought this showed his personality. I mentioned it before, a different light, and I'll let you read those memorable lines, buddy. I tell you, you talk about pushing the envelope. This was the Attitude Era. And Dude Love, was it big and busty, loud and lusty? I'm getting ahead of myself here.
he
Whoa,
was
whoa, wait a minute. You're
he
out there, Mick Foley. Holy cow.
Yeah, I heard a story. This is going off. One of my former co-hosts actually met Mick Foley and said he was very rude, which is strange because he doesn't give me that vibe. But supposedly Foley didn't even look up at him, didn't ask him his name, just signed the autograph. All I did was ask him his name, didn't take a picture,
So he
nothing.
didn't have a nice day. I mean,
I,
that's disappointing.
no, I guess Mr. Sacco was missing that day. He couldn't
Wow.
find him. Yeah. But
maybe just having a bad day. Let's hope that's not the case, because I really am a big fan of Mick Foley.
I know I like Mick Foley too. Maybe he just was having a bad day. Maybe, no one was buying his book, Have a Nice Day. Didn't he have a book called Have a Nice Day? Or am
He
I
does.
okay?
No,
Great.
I think it's a New York Times bestseller, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
So we're even plugging his book. I mean,
yeah,
that's how much we respect him, even when he's not having such a nice day.
yeah, because it is what it is. He's hurt. He can have a day where he pretty much has his ear cut off. But Do Love comes out, and Do Love says, "Welcome everyone to the Love Shack." And before he could really talk and go off on stuff, Vince McMahon comes out, and Vince says, "I had the opportunity to humiliate Stone Cold Steve Austin, and you prevented that. And for that, I am fining you $5,000. Don't ever interfere in my business again." And then
That's a
Do Love
lot of
goes,
money.
"Yeah, 5,000. I mean, especially for Do Love, who right now we don't really know much other than him losing the titles." So Do Love goes, "Cousin Vinny is an emotional man. Why, dude? Why? Why are people keep asking me why I turned on Austin?" He goes, "I want you to understand. Last week I was just trying to create peace, love, and understanding. I was a victim of a sucker attack from behind. Why would my soulmate, a man I carry for months, commit this crime?" So he's pretty much claiming that when Austin, went like touched him from behind to sort of like move him away from McMahon,
Right.
that was him attacking, and that's what Do Love is claiming. Um, he
I
goes,
thought they were. Are they not related? Did Ancestry not figure that out? Vince McMahon and Foley, both Irish guys. I would have thought for sure. And a New York family. That's me trying to be funny. But he shouldn't have fined him. Come on, 5,000. That's a little steep. Even JR agreed. But you got such a great recap. I just wanted to add that. I'm so ashamed, Vince. I thought he was helping you, but obviously he stole the spotlight.
"Well,
Go ahead.
you are on the right track there because in a couple of months Vince will actually tell mankind that you're almost like a son to me. So I mean, I think you're sort of doing something."
How sweet. That sounds like a good Hallmark card from
Yeah,
Vince. I mean, instead of "you're fired," I would much rather hear it, "you're a son to me. I
yeah.
am your father, Jarrell, or maybe Darth Vader." Instead, it's Vince McMahon.
That's Vince McMahon saying it. Yeah. Uh, so yeah, that's pretty much what Vince said to Triple H after he married Stephanie. So the D Love says the chicks, we the he was like we were followed by a caravan of pussycats. Dude was a chick magnet. Stone Cold was after ugly housewives. And then dude says the dude has a showdown with Steve Blackman. We don't have to wait until Unforgiven. You can be forgiven tonight, Stone Cold Steve Austin. If you come out and grovel on your knees, I'll forget the match. I'll let bygones be bygones. If you don't, Unforgiven will be a long night.
He was feeling himself, was he not? I mean, Mick Foley, this was prime dude love. I mean, he had the hippie vibes. He was telling Austin he's only good enough to have housewives, but yet he's going to have all the beautiful ladies and everything. I mean, this guy was feeling the season of love even in 1998.
Listen, they're getting ready for Woodstock 99. So he was sort of the proponent of that. I think once people saw that, they're like, damn, I think we have a following here. Just get a bunch of people dressed up like Dude Love, and then they'll open it up again. But he ends the promo saying, I always knew I could take you, Austin, but I didn't know how easy. Oh, have mercy. So we'll get a little quick thought here on this. What did you think of Dude Love? I mean, we talked a little bit about this last week about why it was the particular face of Foley Dude Love being inserted here. Now we get his explanation for his attack last week. Do you think Dude Love's right pick, and do you think that it was a necessary, good enough reason to attack Austin in your mind? And
I
I
think
also
it
want to
was.
say before you go on, I also am so confused with the way and I want to also your take on this. The way they just randomly announce matches for the pay-per-view during a segment, during a match. Like, I didn't know Dude Love was going to fight Austin. What? But go ahead.
No, I think it just shows, it makes it more intriguing, more fascinating to have Dude Love. And to be honest, Vince McMahon was still new in the ring. I think he was still undergoing training from Dr. Tom Pritchard at this time. So, and they were building this to what it was going to be. And you didn't want to tease that too soon. I mean, you already wanted to kind of have the apple dangling in front of the viewers and fans, but Dude Love and Austin was on a different level and dimension right now, and so was Mick Foley. So it was something to get away from Mankind, get away from Cactus Jack, and it was part of those three faces of Foley that made Mick so great, and he was so reinvented himself is the word I was trying to gather there. So I had no problem. It was unique that they just kind of did matches on the fly, so to speak. It's not that they didn't have any idea, but it sure felt that way. I'm sure it was not on purpose, but it was a good way to kind of get us to Unforgiven, the pay-per-view later on that week, we're talking 1998 here. I enjoyed it though. I thought it was funny, the suspension, and Vince McMahon aggravated that he wanted to get Austin his hands on him, but Dude Love interfered going back to last week. It all was tying in. So my takeaways were very simple and to the point. I just enjoyed this era with Dude Love and Austin and McMahon. I think it just gave the Austin McMahon rivalry, and for Dude Love, it just gave them something else too that we could gravitate to or towards. That's the better word.
Yeah, I think what's also telling about Stone Cold is that they're in Foley's hometown of Long Island and he's getting booed out the arena. So hometown dude, going up against Austin. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's a homecoming.
Yeah. So I mean, Dude Love hasn't been there since 1967, I think. He left.
Yeah, dude Love was partying back in the 60s. I think he was there back in Ellis Island when he took some kind of can we even name it? It's some kind of drug.
He took some LSD and then
exactly. Yeah. See, that's why you're more hip in the host of the show. I'm so behind on the times. I was trying to even gather the word. No, that's me being funny. I didn't make it late night, but yeah, Dude Love could be there when the grandparents, the ancestors from Ireland came over. And then they're like, hey, he's going to be a wrestler. This guy's going to do some crazy stuff.
Dude Love took some LSD, and then he went on the Yellow Submarine down to the City of Love of San Francisco back in 1969. He didn't forget to wear sunscreen.
Yeah, the Beatles. I mean, that's unbelievable. I love the segues. Why not change it up? We could relate music, everything that was going on. That's awesome.
Well, listen, I mean, the summer of love, Dude Love. Why not? It's, we're in the spring of love. This is a new thing, man. All right. So our first match of the night is a Long Island street fight. And we're seeing Kama Mustafa versus Faarooq, and the New Nation come out and stand on the ramp. And some quick notes: Kama attacks Faarooq's injured ribs, and Kama nails Faarooq's ribs with a hammer and a trash can. Interesting. Faarooq ends up punching Kama with just back and forth, left and right, and then Kama nails Faarooq. And then Faarooq nails Kama with his big boot and a dominator, and he gets a 3. Sorry, I was a little confused there with my own handwriting. It's not too good. I think I gotta start typing this up, guys. But yeah, Faarooq gets the win here. Sort of clean win. I was expecting something to happen after, but yeah, Faarooq just gets the win here. He defeats Kama. What'd you think?
I thought this was an entertaining match for what it was, to set up Faarooq, getting that payoff at the pay-per-view, talking about Unforgiven. Kama Mustafa, I mean, very physical. We knew it'd be intense. They were just beating the tar out of each other. That's maybe a Southern word there.
And then I know tar.
I know you know it. Okay, so you can relate to people up in New England. Good, thank God. I was making sure I went off.
Tar means like beating the shit, beating the crap out.
Yeah, it's in the dictionary. Look it up, folks. But anyways, the injured ribs, very intelligent on Faarooq's part. Here's my real analysis. My funny analysis would be the Nation went to the Long Island Home Depot for this. This was great. I mean, they really took their time. Let's get the hammers. Let's get the cases of beer. Let's get drunk while we're beating somebody else up. I mean, they already got Stone Cold. Yeah.
I'm surprised that they used a hammer after the whole Goldust and Vader incident with the hammer. You ever hear that story?
No, you'll have to share that one.
The hammer. This is a Bruce Pictures story. Basically, Goldust goes to hit Vader with a hammer, and he does, and then he accidentally steps on the hammer inflates. It was an inflatable hammer. It wasn't a real hammer.
Only Goldust.
I'll
I mean,
send
that
you.
sounds like Goldust. Yeah, please send me that link because
Maybe it was
against
Vader. I
Vader,
don't know. Someone stepped on it and it just inflated on TV.
I'm gonna laugh now. I needed a good laugh, and we'll get plenty throughout the show. Anything Goldust. He's seriously a great wrestler. We know him as Dustin Rhodes, the natural. That's Rhodes. If I can get my English out, that's why I barely graduated school. I mean, you know the truth now.
You know, do you love how Lon Common, because D Love was sitting there tripping on the acid and it was hard for him to finish too.
It was, yeah, exactly. I must have sampled a little bit of what he had.
But I will say, what I did notice and what I did appreciate now that I didn't as a young kid, when you're a little, you don't notice how big these dudes are or like sort of appreciate it. Even like now on TV, it doesn't do them justice. But Ron Simmons and I don't and his name is Mark, right? His name isn't comma, obviously. I
Yeah,
think
it's the Godfather. Yeah, it's but that's probably his real name. I know he's
yeah.
been the Godfather too. He was Papa
I'll refer
Shango and
yeah. I'll refer him as Godfather, I guess, then so that most people know that character. They're both big dudes, especially Godfather. So
oh, they're huge. Yeah, Godfather's what about 6'6", and Ron Simmons has got to be at least 6'3" or 4. They're both yeah. All these guys are a lot bigger in person. They're you can tell on TV they're huge, but to your point there, these guys are just massive. But that's what draws fans and what makes the money. Not that the small guys haven't, but a lot of these wrestlers you take for granted just the disparaging size. I mean, they are just big men.
yeah. Um, and you know the story with the pants Survivor Series.
The pants now help my memory out. I've got to hear this one. Now I love Bruce Pritchard. We're plugging other podcasts. I do like something to wrestle with, and a lot of the other podcasts similar to it. But was this another Pritchard story?
It could be.
Okay.
I'll just
well,
tell
help
you.
it enlighten me. Yeah.
I'll just tell
Please.
you. I mean, you probably already know. I'm just, I don't want to waste your time.
You're not wasting my time.
Basically, Undertaker showed up to Survivor Series 2000 and he didn't have his right gear. And so the Godfather gave him a pair of pants to wear to the ring. And so that's why at Survivor Series, Undertaker's wearing those green sort of like different style pants. I know that, I
The Undertaker hulked up is what happened. They
yeah,
made him mad. He's like, I'm going to be the Hulk phenom. I'm coming
yeah.
out with the green pants. I've got the green giant, the green jollies on, and I'm here to take care of business. I'm going to tombstone you, choke slam you, do what I have to do, and show you what evil's all about. Because my
Yeah, it
pants
was like a
were
weird. It wasn't like it was like a weird. They weren't really green. They were like a like. They're like. I have to look it up to explain it. Let me look it up, guys.
well, no, you're doing a great job. You just confused me a little bit there, Ant. Come on. I mean, we're supposed to be a team, and you're what's going on here? I mean, this is. But
Okay,
no, I
will send you a picture.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I'm giving you the time of your life in the
Have
worst
you
possible
seen the
way.
pants?
I have not seen the pants.
Okay,
I need
then I'm
the
sending
evidence.
them.
Yeah. You're
Okay.
going to send me the pants?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna send you Undertaker's pants. All
I'm
right.
sure you'll appreciate that. It's a couple of fans talking
I don't
about
know.
the
I think
Survivor
Michelle might be
Series.
a little mad. All
He
right.
may be pissed and remind me to run. Seriously.
All right. I sent you the pants.
Okay. I'll have to pull it up here for
Here's
dramatic
react.
effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me get the reaction here.
And
Just
the funny thing from my point of view is when I was questioning, I was like, wait, I was like, why is Undertaker wearing these pants? I was so confused. They weren't really him.
The anticipation grows. Oh my gosh. Now I do recall
You do
because I've
remember
seen this
those,
picture.
right? Yeah.
I thought this was just like the Disco Undertaker. This was kind of, makes sense with Dude Love. Maybe they could have been a tag team.
Yeah. I don't know.
That would have been awesome. I would have been for that.
You'd love him.
That would have been kind of the ha that could be serious. You could take that like this is a threat.
Well, speaking about a threat, DX are backstage, and they're watching themselves pissing on DOA's bicycles last week. And the New Age Outlaws triple dog dare Triple H to expose his bazooka and give the fans a shower.
Uh-oh.
So I'm like, oh great, here comes my mom, or here comes Dory, or here comes somebody
Here
during this.
comes the wrong person.
Yeah.
Going to think bad of you because he said he's going to show him something. You said it, so I don't have to.
This is a moment where my grandmother was known for always like shit talking to women. Like that's not women. That's not wrestling, she'd say. So this is something that she would say in this moment. So we come back from break and DX come out and Triple H says DOA showed up with your brass, but left with your heads up those asses. Road Dogg says attacking champions, he does this whole attacking champions of the world saying, here we are rocking with D and rolling on X, but at Unforgiven LOD 2000, he's like, you can polish a turtle all day, but it's still doo-doo. So they're just fucking going all over the place.
Oh yeah, they're insulting him. They're calling Sunny Skanky. I mean,
yeah,
they are disparaging so many people, and it's just rough to watch, but it's so entertaining. Oh, I miss DX, even though I get that it was kind of childish. I get what your grandmother was saying. This wasn't, by goodness, your old school wrestling, as we say. But to me, they were great. And that bazooka, thank God that's all it was. I thought they were teasing this like, okay, kids go to bed. Heck, I may have to close my eyes, but thank God.
I know. Well, he does call Sonny Skanky, and then he goes, Owen, so this is Triple H. Owen, you can put the ninth wonder of the world, China, in a cage and haul her up to the ceiling. If she opens the bars, she'll rip off your head. China, up or not, I own you. And then they get ready to, show Triple H's bazooka, which ends up actually being a bazooka gun, and they spray the fans with the water gun.
Yeah, it's a water gun, but you didn't know at the time, even the broadcaster, JR, and I think, was it Lawler in hour 2? Because it was Michael Cole hour 1. They were even addressing it, saying or stating apropos that, hey, listen, they're really taking a leak on the people.
Yeah. Well, ratings, so you never know.
It's all about ratings, by goodness. It's, we never can have the clean fun. It's got to be, they got to make it something else, but that's why it's attitude for a reason.
And then after the bazookas showered, Legion of Doom 2000 and Owen Hart come out, and Sergeant Slaughter makes a 6-man tag match for the main event, New Age Outlaws and Triple H taking on LOD 2000 and Owen Hart. So that'll be a good match to set up sort of the matches that are in place for Unforgiven. We kind of just went over. It's just sort of way for ratings to go over. I do like DX. I do miss their Slay segments. And this is nostalgic. Just the beginning. It's like, again, this is another thing where for some reason, I always think 1999 is when everything happened, but 1998 is when all of this stuff was going down.
It was cultivating the environment. You said it. This is really the premise and where it originated.
Yeah,
is for DX and a lot of these factions. I mean, we would go on and see the Acolytes, Bradshaw and Faarooq, and this was even prior to that.
Yes, sir, you are correct. Well, moving on, we see Gerald Briscoe, one of the Stooges, giving Vince McMahon a coffee because he really needs it.
I love some coffee. Vince McMahon's telling him, all right, the coffee, come on. He scares that poor lady backstage. Bless her heart.
Tyler, I will get you coffee if you ask for it.
I've actually got some now. That's my problem. I tried to get more amped up because it was only my first episode last time. So I have got the coffee. So it's like you read my mind and you transported this like a cheap sci-fi flick or something. I mean, I'm so hyped up. I need help with my speech all of a sudden.
Hire me. Look, I'm a great stooge. I could be like Gerald Briscoe. But anyways, so
will you? You're a man after my own heart. But no, I'll let you finish, sir.
So we then get our next match, the NWA champion Dan the Beast Severn with Jim Cornette taking on Headbanger Mosh with Headbanger Thrasher. Severn hits many gut-wrench suplexes. Cornette gets in Mosh's face, and then Thrasher punches Jim Cornette, which then distracts Mosh.
How rude.
How rude. What a little bastard. Severn then hits a power slam and applies an arm bar, and Mosh taps out. So Severn's like looking like a badass, obviously, but I think because he doesn't really have much of a personality, I don't think these short matches do him justice because there's really nothing other than him just beating people up. I guess that's his whole gimmick. But
Yeah, that's part of it, to kind of get him into matches. Plus, he was the NWA champion. This was always kind of felt weird to me because I guess this was kind of to stick it to WCW because of their long-term relationship back in the day, going back to the Crockett's with the National Wrestling Alliance, and now Cornette, Jeff Jarrett, the Rock and Roll Express had been out there. This was definitely an interesting time period and timeline. Now, I'm a Cornette Mark. And he was having to work with Russo. Now they're not going to exchange any Christmas cards. If you've heard their opinions of each other, this was definitely the North and South kind of having their issues, and this was a civil war within itself. I mean, Cornette wanted that double cheeseburger, and Russo wasn't having it. He wasn't going to go to Wendy's for it.
no, not at all. I mean, these two have completely different views on everything. So it's actually funny that
That's putting it mildly.
yeah, dude. So all right, so we got that situation going on. We then have that's also pretty funny too for the air because it's probably hard to manage all that. Because Jim Cornette, you can tell even in his promos, like when I was watching like back in like early January, he's talking so much shit on WWE product and the fact that it's not like NWA, so it must be hard to manage.
Well, you got to realize he came up in the territories like so many in the WWE did as well. So yeah, he's probably, and it was known to be a lot of shoots back then where it was more realistic, more reality based. So he did have his frustrations. You can hear it on the podcast, but there was a lot of great things he does praise. Like you had The Rock, you had the Austins, the Mick Foleys, and the Undertakers, and so many of this great talent, and a lot of talent that was underutilized. Not anyone's fault, but sometimes that happens. So yeah, Cornette has always been passionate. I've got a lot of respect for him, though. He's controversial. I get it. We're trying to be more controversial. By goodness, come on.
Well, yeah, I don't hate on it. It's times change, and there's still a good. If they were to put off, well, maybe if WWE were to kind of build up NWA a little bit more, maybe they could have been a bit.
That would have helped.
Yeah,
I do concur.
But I mean, it is what it is. It didn't last, and that's okay.
It's
So
probably that it didn't last because we just shared our feelings about it. Kind of was mismanaged and kind of misplaced.
exactly, my friend. Exactly. Okay, so moving on, we see Undertaker at the cemetery and he's snapping at Kevin Kelly, I think because Kane and Paul Bearer aren't where they're supposed to be, or he's like looking for them. And this is a cool moment because it just sort of came out of nowhere and you just get sort of thrust into it. But yeah, so they're kind of just building up to where is Kane and what's happening, and we as fans don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Where is Kane? Where's my son? Oh, yes. No, I'm just kidding. Where's Paul Bearer at? We need him. No, the Undertaker. Yeah, Kevin Kelly. I thought he was going to wet his pants, and I would have too if the Undertaker was coming at me saying, "Okay, where's Kane and Paul Bearer?" I can't do the deep voice. You know, I can do Bearers, but you never know. You may get impersonations on the program. Who knows? But I'll tell you, Kevin Kelly should have got a raise because I would have been shaking in my boots or whatever shoes he had. A cemetery alone is not a fun place to be at, and he did a great job. He really did sell it. I'm trying to add some comedy to it, but I mean, this was some great storytelling. And gosh, I love Paul Bearer. I'm not only a Cornette mark, but I'm also a mark for Paul Bearer. I love what he contributed to the business, and this character was just off the charts.
Yeah. Well, speaking of an off the chart character, the artist formerly known as Goldust comes out with Luna, and he's going to be taking on Bradshaw. And Luna grabs the mic and she says, "Sable, this Sunday you will be reborn. I am the woman who will strip you of your soul and your mind. You will leave like you were a newborn baby when I strip your grotesque body of all your clothes. Then I will leave you in the ring like a pathetic witch you are." And then we'll talk about that in a minute. So the match starts and Goldust hits a DDT. Luna chokes Bradshaw. Bradshaw ends up nailing a fallaway slam, but Club Kamikaze attacks Bradshaw again. and Bradshaw gets the win by disqualification. So, they're obviously building up to Sable and Luna. Luna is getting these fans to want to buy. She's saying she's going to strip Sable. So all these fans are going to look into that. So, yes, what are your thoughts on Luna calling out Sable and the match as a whole?
I think Luna is the embodiment of living the gimmick. I mean, from the Vachon family, of course, we all had a major crush on Sable. We were downloading a lot of images of her. I'll just be transparent. Uh, I thought you were going to say the artist formerly known as Prince, but no, Goldust. We all know how talented he is. He was always bizarre and out there. But I always enjoyed his character work, especially during this time, talking about reinventing yourself, much like Dude Love and all of these strong personalities that was Goldust. And I loved it. It didn't need to be a long promo by Sable because to me, Luna's going to have more of your promo. She's naturally got the experience being second generation in the business, speaking of the wrestling industry. But Sable and Luna, this was a combustible elements. Let me add plural because talking about them both, and then add Goldust. So I thought this was reminded me of how chaotic in a controlled way the Attitude Era truly was.
Yeah. Well, and even just Club Kamikaze attacking too constantly. Like, what is up with them? We still don't know much about them. We do know they will become Funaki, or not Funaki. Oh my gosh, Kai and Tai.
No, I believe you're right, though. Funaki was a part of it. So you went off. I think he was still a member.
But yeah, again, this is just build for Unforgiven. We then get our Eminem Slam of the Week, which was Vince McMahon slapping Stone Cold Steve Austin last week on Raw, which obviously is historic.
Oh, that was epic.
Yeah, that was huge. And then we get our little promo that we're in the war zone, and WWF champion Stone Cold Steve Austin comes down to open up the war zone. And Stone Cold says, I put the title on the line, and the psychedelic jackass Dude Love has his fingers in my mouth. He ruins the match. It's been a conspiracy between Vince McMahon and Dude Love all along. He says, you can beat my ass all day, but I will pick my ass up and I will get my payback. I promise you, before the night is over, I will get my hands on Vince McMahon and Dude Love. So when you hear that, you believe Austin's on the warpath. Did you like that promo?
It's credible.
Yeah.
Oh, I love any of these promos, especially when it's peak Stone Cold Steve Austin, Texas Rattlesnake during this era. His attitude, the body language, I specifically wrote those observations down, sold everything, not just his in-ring work. I mean, you really thought and envisioned that, Austin was going to just destroy McMahon, just beat him up. And they kept really reinvigorating that point was the word that came to mind there. And I enjoy anything by Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, you talked about it off air, Ant, that there was Austin 316 shirts for this very reason. Everybody enjoys the anti-hero. That's why they love the Clint Eastwood movies and film, or Paul Newman. I mean, Stone Cold Steve Austin, not, making the comparisons to Western movies, but he was kind of that bad to the bone cowboy kind of outlaw that everybody cheered on and loved. It made sense. He's from Texas. And he was going against the authority, against the boss, the corporation, against the working man was standing up for himself, per se. So that's why this resonated with everybody. So I am just in so much love, just like we've got Dude Love. I'm in love with these Austin promos. And
yeah.
I mean, business was about to pick up, as good old JR would say.
And there's a conspiracy going on, man. We'll have to, we talk a lot about conspiracy with this rivalry going down the line. So
yeah, there's a lot of interesting developments. Let's go back to Kevin Kelly, where the Undertaker threatened him. No, I'm just teasing.
Yeah.
But there was a conspiracy, and I love how they relay that story. I'm trying to be professional, maybe for a few minutes. That's I mean, what an ordeal. I mean, I liked how Austin brought that up about this conspiracy.
Yeah.
That this could be on True TV or something.
Man, the crime. I mean, there's a lot of conspiracies going on in this world nowadays. Austin was on the mark. So next,
you're telling me.
All right. We have the new Midnight Express with Jim Cornette and Dan Severn taking on Terry Funk and Scorpio. We see a hearse arriving to the arena. and the match starts. And Scorpio lands a power bomb. Terry Funk hits a neck breaker. Bob Holly nails an elbow drop, and then Scorpio hits a spinning kick. And then the Midnight Express nail a spike pile driver on Funk. They drop Terry on the apron. However, Scorpio misses another 450 splash, and then he's actually able to land a 450, and he gets a 3 count win. However, after the match, Dan Severn attacks Scorpio until Terry Funk tosses chairs at the new Midnight Express and Severn.
It's classic. Yeah, classic Terry Funk. When you said about, mentioned the steel chairs being thrown into the ring by the NWA and wrestling legend overall, Terry Funk. And then you had Jim Cornette on commentary, was just terrific. I loved anytime Cornette was involved as a manager, getting involved in a wrestling match, where he wrestled, and then being on the call during the broadcast was always fun. I thought this was a lot better tag team match than the previous week. I had told you this off air, Anth, that I thought this was much improved. Now, I'm not as crazy about the whole NWA kind of storyline. It was kind of neat for what it was.
Yeah.
I like the talent involved, however, but Terry Funk and Too Cold Scorpio had some chemistry here, and I was digging it. And, with all due respect to Booker T.
Can you dig it? Tyler can. Yeah, I agree. There's a lot
sure
more
can.
action.
Buddy, I'm cool. I mean, I'm really hip here. You can tell with the way I dress and talk. I'm stellar. I mean, they asked me for promo advice. Yeah, that's like asking nobody with any experience at all was trying to, my hook there. You don't want to come to me about it. That's just my appreciation for all this talent. I mean, there was some good stuff on this show.
Well, the hearse arrive. I mean, that's Katie Vick showing up to get Kane back. But anyways, we then have Sable coming out. She comes down to the ring in an evening gown. And Sable says, "Does this body look like I'll be humiliated if, I'm naked? I could care less if Luna tears all my clothes off. I could care less if I wear nothing at all." And she just basically promotes herself. So again, fans are going to want to buy this because she's saying, "Hey, I might lose, and I'm totally fine with it."
I got to admit, it was reminding me of some good memories. I'm going to buy this pay-per-view now.
Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding. Well, yeah. Well, now we can get it on Peacock, the WWE Network. Sable really convinced everybody. This hit home for me, and I was like, okay, quit saying those things. Excuse me. No, I'm just kidding. I thought it was, for what it was going to do. Here I go trying to be a comedian again, but it's part of the other dimension of my personality. I can't help it. But yeah, I mean, obviously fans, I mean, Jerry Lawler was getting excited. I mean, we were going to, if there was a chance seeing Sable and less clothes, I mean, that was going to help the buy rate.
Yes, sir. I agree with you, my friend. And Sable looked great here.
She looked terrific. I mean, very beautiful lady.
Beautiful. So then Vince McMahon is backstage, and Vince says that Stone Cold is watching way too many Oliver Stone movies. I'll be ready for Stone Cold Steve Austin if he comes to attack. So obviously, Oliver Stone is a former Army. I don't know if I think he was a soldier.
He may have been.
He made the JFK movie. He basically has a lot of movies and documentaries where he has a lot of conspiracy theories. So they're just trying to add that element to the whole storyline,
which I like.
Yeah, it was good. Vince is always funny. He's always good to do stuff like that.
This was the Vince McMahon everybody kind of fell in love with, whether you disliked him or you enjoyed his character. This was the Vince that everybody remembers.
Vincent Kane McMahon. Well, remember earlier on the whole bazooka situation? Well, DX is back out to the ring with X-Pac in China. They're taking on Owen Hart and the Legion of Doom 2000 with Sunny. We know that Triple H will be fighting Owen Hart for the European title at Unforgiven. China will be suspended above the ring in a cage. And the Legion of Doom 2000 will get their tag team title shots that they won in the WrestleMania 14 Battle Royal against the New Age Outlaws at Unforgiven. So no reason. Just add these guys together. We're going to brawl. The match starts, and here are some notes. Hawk nails a Road Dogg with a clothesline. Owen nails a spinning heel kick to Billy Gunn and a leg drop. Owen applies a sharpshooter on Triple H, but Billy Gunn's able to nail Owen with a DDT. Animal nails a shoulder breaker to Road Dogg. LD2000 nailed the Doomsday device. However, China grabs Sunny and carries her in her arms. That distracts everybody. X-Pac, X-Pac runs in with a chair and nails Animal in the back with it. And then Billy Gunn hits the pile driver Animal and gets a 3 count. D-Generation X gets the win here. What do you think of the match? A lot of the antics from China and X-Pac helping out DX, but it was a good match. What do you think?
I thought it was a good match, and there was a major factor at play. You had Owen Hart, you had Triple H, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn were all more the workers, the workhorses, where Hawk and Animal are just going to give you the power stuff. And I think that's all you need. And you had Sonny, China doing their interaction to distract Animal. No, excuse me, Hawk. Animal was the one that took the chair shot from X-Pac for Billy Gunn to use his finisher on him. And I got to tell you what, just like with Sable, I was just happy to see Sonny at ringside. Just call me Jerry Lawler. I mean, I was just excited to see, Sonny there. You're going to help me out here? I'm on a ledge
Listen,
here.
I'm not. I'm more of a Sunny care. I mean, well, first of all, I'm an engaged man, so I shouldn't even go there, Tyler.
Well, yeah, and I shouldn't have implied anything. I'm very respectable here. I just want to make that statement. Yeah, let's keep it moving.
However, I'm not blind, and no offense to those who are. But I listen, Sunny. I was always more of a Sunny person. I mean, Sable. I always like Sable, but Sunny kind of had this like sort of, I don't know. But obviously, I'm not a big fan of Sunny now. But dude,
well,
I've always
opinions
had
have
match,
changed.
Sable versus Sunny. I'd love to see like brown panties, something like that.
This is very telling. I mean, we're just being honest. I mean, we're not trying to come off as weird, but I mean, what person was not hoping or praying that was going to come to pass? A Sunny Sable or some kind of ordeal where
And
the
they
blonde
knew it
pennies were
too.
involved.
They knew
Oh,
they were,
they knew it was selling. I mean, WWF at the time, WWE now, I mean, that was the focal point. That was going to draw ratings, and especially again later in the night. I mean, they knew that
Yep.
male demographic was going to go up. I mean, that was must see TV, literally, whether right or wrong or morally.
Yes, sir. I agree with you. All right, moving on. Kane and Paul Bearer actually come out to the ramp, and there's 2 caskets that have looks like they've been dug up. Paul Bearer's all dirty. He looks all disheveled. He looks like he has dirt on his shirt. And Paul Bearer goes, Undertaker's parents perished in a fire that the Undertaker set. And the Undertaker didn't get to attend the funeral. So we dug up the graves of the Undertaker's poor mommy and daddy so the Undertaker could have a funeral. They've been in the ground for 20 years, all because of you, Undertaker. And then Kane starts to pour gas on the caskets, and the Undertaker comes out in street clothes. Paul Bearer lights the casket on fire, and then Kane chokeslammed the Undertaker through his mother's casket, and you see remnants of bones. So pretty much the Undertaker gets chokeslammed on his mother's dead body. Very morbid.
Talk about controversial. Yeah, very morbid. That's a correct term. I wouldn't say a good one, but it describes it. This was definitely very ahead of its time. I mean, you want to talk about not just with bra and panties or certain signals or words coming out during this time frame, but having the Undertaker choke slammed on what was his mom's casket, even though we all know it's characters, that wasn't really his parents. But at the time, if I'm a kid, I'm kind of buying into this. I mean, especially Paul Bearer, how wonderful. I know I'm going to sound terrible. This guy's definitely a fan. So, but yeah, that's the truth. I do admire Bearer, and he was so vital to this whole storyline.
You can't, well, I look at it like you can't respect Batman if there's no Joker. There has to be a good,
that's a fair illustration. Yeah.
And Paul Bearer has always been a good, and Kane have always been a good counterpart to the Undertaker. But this is going deeper. I mean,
gosh, it's going a lot more deeper, a lot more depth. I mean, he was like, Undertaker, oh, these are your parents. I'm gonna light them on fire, Kane. Hurry, hurry. And I
But
love
I
it.
do respect the fact that they made sense of this because a couple weeks before, Undertaker did not want to fight his brother. These two are now going to fight in an inferno match where you have to set the opponent on fire. The only way for Undertaker to want to accept to do this, something crazy has to happen, and you just got choke slammed on your mother's remains. I mean that's you're
How
going in.
crazy was that? I mean, it's bad enough when he throws the gasoline on both the caskets, and then Kane, to add more insult. I mean,
Yeah.
farther than just an insult, was choke slamming the Phenom, the Undertaker. We're talking about on his mother's casket. I mean, how despicable. I mean, Jim Ross is right. This is just, I mean, these guys are just, they ought to be ashamed of themselves. And
It's true.
they did their job so well that's the whole point, people. I was trying to get lost in the moment. Forgive me.
Well, it's definitely good build up, and it makes sense for their match at Unforgiven. We then have Vince McMahon coming out for commentary, and the main event match we have Dude Love taking on Steve Blackman. And Vince McMahon says he guarantees that something catastrophic will happen at Unforgiven in your house. And that's a big word for Vince McMahon. Here are some, moments that happen in the match. Dude Love nails a swinging neck breaker and gets a 2 count. Blackman hits a suplex. Vince then reveals that he will be at ringside for the main event, Unforgiven. Dude Love then applies an abdominal stretch, and the referee automatically rings the bell, sort of reminiscent to Survivor Series 1997, the Montreal Screwjob. Dude Love's announced the winner after Steve Blackman yells at the timekeeper, and then he punches him. And then Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out. He clotheslines Dude Love and attacks him. And then he also attacks Vince McMahon with stomps. He then nails a stunner to Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe. However, Dude Love then attacks Stone Cold, and the show goes off the air, pandemonium. So Stone Cold did live up to his word. He did get his hands on Dude Love and Vince McMahon. You're now going into Unforgiven thinking, is Vince McMahon going to screw Stone Cold like he did to Bret Hart? And
They
I
were
think,
paying that picture.
yeah, and the part that I think that's a little crazy is the way that they keep emphasizing this. This will come up again later on in the year of 98, but the fact that they keep going back to this whole huge situation with Survivor Series and Bret Hart, I'm surprised that they did that. But what was your take on the main event?
I thought it was good for what it needed to be. It was going to be cut short due to the angle you just talked about, or the segment per se, with Blackman punching the timekeeper, because the bell did ring prematurely. That is a point that was noted on commentary. It was kind of neat to have Vince join JR and the King, and kind of have that nostalgic 80s and early 90s kind of McMahon coming back. He still sounded like he always has on commentary. So that part about it was interesting to me. And having Dude Love come out there in Austin, brawl, kind of similar to how they closed out last week's Raw, as we're going with the timeline for 1998 and
Yeah.
especially the month of April. I loved how, this was exciting. It was thrilling. Vince even got in the ring. King made mention of it. It riled up Vince, as anyone would. The natural reaction, Stone Cold just tosses him or kind of bills him, just throws him. And the way Vince sold it was impeccable. And, Dude Love, I just love the whole story. I mean, this saga, as we could call it, between Vince McMahon would easily be one of the wrestling's greatest villains, and Stone Cold one of its biggest stars and greatest heroes. And then we all know how legendary of a career Mick Foley had. And I miss Steve Blackman and Ken Shamrock during these days. A lot of the MMA, UFC fighters and mixed martial arts, or just martial arts in general, coming over to pro wrestling. We talked about Dan Severn. This was just such a unique time in wrestling.
Yeah, man, a lot. You touched on a lot of things. A lot of stuff's happening. A lot of changes are happening. I thought this was a very good Raw, good episode to get you prepared for what's to come, which is our WWF Unforgiven in Your House 1998 recap special. That will be dropping on Thursday, August 12th, this Thursday, wherever you check out podcasts, we are available on all podcast streaming platforms, including Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Just search the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast. And then check us out on YouTube, the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast. Subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell to stay notified when new content is created.
Check it out, folks.
Yes, sir. And Tyler, why don't you let the fans know where they can hear you as well?
I'd be happy to. Thank you, Ann. You can check me out along with a great panel on the Rewind Wrestling Radio podcast. Actually, the Rewind Wrestling Radio Network have a lot of great shows, news shows coming soon. You can follow, subscribe to them on YouTube. Also find them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. There's going to be new episodes, new content all the time. So we've got a lot of exciting things coming up. Projects also. Standing Strong with Waylon Myers is a non-wrestling related podcast that just offers encouragement and positivity. So that's also on YouTube under Waylon Myers. And Standing Strong has pages on also all the social media platforms. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And also don't forget to check out WrestleBuddy, their website that all the latest rumors and news and also exclusive takes on certain wrestlers and personalities throughout the years, much like we're discussing now with the late 1990s. But that's WrestleBuddy.com. They're also on all the major social media platforms as well. It's a similar reoccurring theme, but it's so evident. And don't forget to check out this great podcast. He just told you about it. I mean, even if I went on here, this man does his research. He does his homework. He studies this stuff, man. He is really laying out this show beautifully. And I'm just so happy. I learn something all the time on this show. So we're just having fun. I mean, no, seriously, you deserve it. And this guy is the real deal. I mean, he's the superstar. I'm just here along for the ride. And this is always fun to go back and like a time machine. This is cool. And I'm not talking Back to the Future. Great movie, but we're talking back to wrestling.
Tyler's like letting everybody know that now that he's getting paid for all these compliments.
No, he did. He slipped me a check like Heyman did to Cornette during the ECW pay-per-view. And he's like, here, if you'll make an appearance, I'll pay you. And I'll give you a steak. Before that, we'll go to like a Ruth Chris or something, whatever that story Cornette relayed. That's really what happened. There was a major secretive deal. He's like, okay, you host some podcast. You mind jumping on mine and then just go away for a little bit, okay?
Making people think I'm such a great person.
No, they know you're a great person. That's me being a bad example. I'm supposed to be a good person, but I'm really not. No, we're all having fun. It's all being funny. So folks, don't take it literally. It's part of podcast. We got to have some fun.
Yes.
But no, that's all I'm going to add. I know I've went too long. I go lengthy, but hey, listen, that's part of it.
You talk too much, homeboy.
I always
you
talk too much.
Up. You ever hear from
I do. They tell me that all the time. I mean,
not at all.
I try to say I'm shy. Yeah.
You know the segment from Botchmania where the song comes on and you never seen
I'm not
that?
as familiar. No, that's something I need to check out. You would think as a wrestling fan, I would know Botchamania. That's the equivalent of a WrestleMania, is it not? Botchamania? Not quite.
It's basically like all the like when the wrestlers mess up and make mistakes, and basically like whenever like a wrestler messes up, talk like there's like something like there's a song that goes, "You talk too much. You never shut up."
That's clever.
Too much. Yeah, I'll have to send
if you hear me talking enough, you'll realize I'm a living, walking Botchamania. So there you go. I mean, it's just human nature. We're gonna have some errors, make mistakes. We're not perfect, folks. I mean, I take that back.
Shockmaster.
We the Shockmaster. I mean, but you did have the perfect one, who I was a big fan. I know we're going back before the Attitude Era, but Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig. That was perfection. I mean, the guy was shooting basketballs with one hand behind his back. He was bowling. He was doing all those great vignettes. Let me tell you, I've tried that. It doesn't work as good. Trust me. That's why he's the professional and he was the athlete, and why he was Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect. I don't know where I was going with that, but it just all this. That's what's great. We get off the rails. We find our way back. Thanks to you. Anytime you want to shut me up and say, okay, now you want to know the truth, folks. I did have to pay this guy off, and now this is the last show. So you don't have to endure. You can go home happy because this guy, he's ranting now. We got to sign off. Get the producers. Okay. Here, we've got a time countdown. Come on, hurry. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I love it. All right. It's Tyler, I like it because you can keep up for me when I feel like I can't talk as much. So I appreciate
No,
it.
no, you've got a great gift of gab. I've tried to catch up with everyone, but it's not always easy. I'm at everybody's mercy. I'm just a keyboard warrior here, folks. I try to write these articles. They made me an offer I can't refuse. If you watch The Godfather, it's just
Yeah.
it's kind of tough to turn down these opportunities because they're like, hey, you want to join this podcast? It's about wrestling. It's Attitude Era. I'm like, oh wow, and then you've got Sable, you've got Sunny. I hate to
Tyler's
sound
gonna
like
have
Jerry the King Lawler.
Tyler, we are uncensored, sir. But once you mention Sable and Sunny, I think that's when the kids need to go to bed.
But yeah, we're at the hour number 2, folks. So
Yeah.
yeah, kids, please go to bed, and because DX may have another segment coming up. Things are definitely going to get a little more mature, if you will, like the American
Especially
Dream.
with Unforgiven, man. I mean, the evening gown match. Uh, but yeah, lock up those kids for that one. So yeah, Tyler, thank you for joining me. Definitely check out all those places where you can find Tyler. We'll put them in the
Oh
description.
well, thank you. You're so kind, and I knew you give me coffee like Briscoe was giving McMahon, so that's always gives a pep in the step, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Oh.
it's we find ways to work together, I guess, or there. But all right, so definitely be on the lookout for our next episode dropping August 12th. It will be our Unforgiven in Your House recap. So yeah, thank you for checking us out. Stay safe. Peace, y'all. Bye.
Yes.